In a partisan suicide death wish vote, the Democrats voted along party lines to impeach the president. Or did they?
The failure was made clear to everyone earlier this week when Senator Schumer began searching for ways the Senate could step out of our proper role and try to fix the House Democrats' failures for them. And it was made even more clear last night when Speaker Pelosi suggested that House Democrats may be too afraid to even transmit their shoddy work product to the Senate. Mr. President, it looks like the prosecutors are getting cold feet.
Chuck Todd over at NBC was lamenting the fact that while this deeply historic day was happening, while Congress was voting on articles of impeachment, making Trump the third president ever impeached, what was he doing? Was he in sackcloth and mourning? No. He was holding a Trump rally in Battle Creek, Michigan.
I don't know about you, but I'm having a good time. It's crazy. But I also know we have a great group of people behind us in the Republican Party. We really do.
So let's get this straight, just so that everybody understands, because no doubt there are a lot of confused libloons and progressive dillweeds out there right now. You're a little bit confused. You heard that Donald Trump got impeached. You went into a euphoric, orgasmic climax. He's impeached. You expected to wake up this morning to witness the televised swearing in of Hillary Rodham Clinton as the new rightfully justified, vindicated president. See, this is what happens. You are the victim of public school education. You are the victim of being spoon-fed by what you understand about politics from the lying, legacy, corporate, corrupt, mainstream media, which means you haven't gotten news, you haven't gotten information, you've gotten propaganda, you've gotten spin, you've gotten an agenda that they're trying to force you as one of the lemmings, one of the masses, to get in line with their groupthink, their political and, shall we say, liberal ideology of how this is all supposed to work. But here's how this works. The lower house, which in this case would be the House of Representatives, in an impeachment, they act as the grand jury. It's their job to assemble the evidence. And if they believe that there is a preponderance of evidence that demands this individual be officially charged, convicted, and removed, then they vote that way. Then it gets handed off to the Senate. The Senate acts as the judge and jury. They weigh it all out, and they either find the defendant, which in this case would be Donald J. Trump, innocent or guilty. Now, what Nancy Pelosi is saying is, well, we're only going to send it over to them if we like the way they're going to do things. In other words, unless they guarantee us that he's going to the gallows, well, we're not sending it. See, right from the get-go, this has been a partisan witch hunt. They have been trying to impeach this man before he ever put his hand on the Bible and took the oath of office. In fact, 15 minutes after he took the oath of office, there were some newspapers, they weren't running headlines on Donald Trump inaugurated 45th president. No, they were running headlines like, let the impeachment begin. You do know this isn't the first articles of impeachment this particular Congress has come up with for Donald Trump. They tried to impeach him over, and even drafted articles accordingly, over things he tweeted, comments he's made to the media, etc., etc., etc. And Nancy Botox Pelosi, in her own incoherent way, tried to articulate this to the press today, and to their own shock, She didn't want to hear from him. She didn't want to answer questions. She said, we have so many other things we're doing. Why can't we talk about these other things? Because you're the one that has been saying that this man is so vile and such a threat to democracy, he got to go. So how come now you don't want him to go?
Do you run the risk, as some Republicans have said, of looking like you're playing games with impeachment if you hold on to these articles for too long?
I said what I was going to say, Nancy. When we bring the bill, which is, just so you know, there's a bill made in order by the Rules Committee that we can call up at any time in order to send it over to the Senate and to have the provisions in there to pay for the impeachment. And then the next step, frankly, I don't care what the Republicans say.
Last night you suggested you need to see a fair process in the Senate.
Well, we'd like to see a fair process, but we'll see what they have, and we'll be ready for whatever it is. Yes, Chad?
Is that the requirement? You need to see a fair process before...
We would hope there would be a fair process, just as we hope that they would honor the Constitution. By the way, I saw some of it, I didn't see it, but I heard some of what Mitch McConnell said today, and it reminded me that our founders, when they wrote the Constitution, they suspected that there could be a rogue president. I don't think they suspected that we could have a rogue president and a rogue leader in the Senate at the same time.
I'll tell you exactly why she's doing this. And it has nothing to do with the so-called corruption of Donald Trump or the corruption of Mitch McConnell. It's about the corruption of the Democratic Party, which has been on display for the entire nation to see. This is why the president's poll numbers keep going up. It's why more and more Americans are turned off to this idea of impeachment and removal from office. See, it was great when they were having their little secret meetings down in the bunker and Adam Schiff could control the narrative. See, as long as he gets to control the narrative, you know, he can say things like, I have the overwhelming evidence that will put Trump away for Russian collusion. Out comes the Mueller report. Everybody turns to Adam Schiff saying, okay, Mueller didn't have anything. What do you got? Silence. Schiff is such a liar. When he finally was forced to make this impeachment inquiry go public, Americans got to see that, number one, these witnesses didn't really know anything. The one witness that we all should have heard from, the so-called whistleblower, oh, no, can't hear from him. And they saw the unfair practice that the president's lawyers were not allowed to be there. There was nobody being called on to actually testify on behalf of the president. Nobody to tell the other side. So you've got some reluctant Democrats in swing states. They voted for this. Again, this goes back to when they voted for the initial inquiry. They were promised by Nancy Pelosi, this will not come to a vote. I will not hurt you during an election year. Because these are Democrats that hold seats, and they're very vulnerable because it's Trump country. And they only hang on to those seats because they've convinced the voters back home, look, I'm not like those crazos in Washington. I'm not like the AOCs. I'm not like the Squad. I'm not like those lunatics that want to overthrow the government, burn the flag, destroy the Constitution, and rewrite everything with a globalist agenda. No, that's not me. I'm not here to take away your guns. I'm one of you. I'm just a Democrat because my dad was a Democrat, my granddad was a Democrat. Well, see, she gave them cover by promising them this would never come to a vote. Well, now it's come to a vote. And she did put pressure on, you got to vote for this. You got to vote for this. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. We're not going to send these articles over to the Senate. Because the Senate's going to acquit him. And that will look bad for us. That'll look really, really bad. Two Democrats broke ranks and voted against the impeachment. And presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard, she took a real gamble in voting present. Now, of course, she's trying to do this walk the middle. Well, I think he should be censured, but I didn't feel that what he did rose to the level of impeachment. He hasn't done anything even worth being censured over, Tulsi. And as far as I'm concerned, you've screwed the pooch, honey. I mean, you aren't going to make it through the primaries. I hope you understand that. On the other hand, I do think she's hoping to pick off And I've said this for months, which is why I get concerned when guys like Tucker and Hannity and other conservatives give her a friendly platform to come on over, and they soft sell her, and they never go through her actual policies on things like her gun grab, her social justice issues, abortion on demand, etc., etc., etc. They make her seem as kind of like Trump light. You know, that she's patriotic, she gets it, she's for strong things that will build the economy. No, she's not. No, she's not. I do think she understands that she's going to lose a chunk of Democratic support by what she did. She's hoping to pick up some independents, some moderates that, you know, they don't like Trump, but they don't like what's being done to him either. But they love what's happening in the economy right now. And if there was just somebody who was Trump without being Trump, and that's how she's trying to position herself. So conservative media outlets, be very careful. She is a Trojan horse. Be very, very careful of her. But nonetheless, this did not go well. Nancy Botox Pelosi has got herself backed into a corner. And Mitch McConnell did a brilliant job today, and I don't compliment Mitch often, but he did a beautiful job today laying out the case. First of all, as he said, this has been an impeachment in search of a crime. In other words, they got nothing. They still got nothing. They know they got nothing. That's why they won't send it over to the Senate.
Last night, House Democrats finally did what they had decided to do a long time ago. They voted to impeach President Trump. Over the last 12 weeks, House Democrats have conducted the most rushed, least thorough, and most unfair impeachment inquiry in modern history. This particular House of Representatives has let its partisan rage at this particular president create a toxic new precedent that will echo well into the future. So let's be clear. The House's vote yesterday was not some neutral judgment that Democrats came to with great reluctance. It was the predetermined end of a partisan crusade that began before President Trump was even nominated, let alone sworn in. For the very first time in modern history, we've seen a political faction in Congress promise from the moment a president election ended, that they would find some way to overturn it.
You know, it is interesting when you stop and think about it. There was this mad rush. We got to get this done, got to get this done. This man is a threat to democracy. This man is a threat to democracy. He's got to go. They were hoping in their wet dreams that when the poll numbers were up for impeachment, that was during the month of October when everything was being done secret and the poll numbers were going up and the media was having a feeding frenzy and they were all prematurely climaxing because this is it. We got him. We got him. We got him. They wanted him out before Christmas. And then when the poll numbers started to turn south and people got vocal, and they're even showing up now at Democratic-held events and protesting, and Democrats are not used to that. Schiff got booed off the stage at his own town hall meeting. Democrats are not used to this. They're used to doing this to Republicans. They're not used to having it done to themselves. This whole thing is blowing up on them. And now, here was this guy, this evil President Trump, who was a threat to our existence, a threat to democracy, and now we can wait. We're not going to send the articles over to the Senate. We can wait. Mitch McConnell, I am so proud of you. You called it for what it is. Total and complete BS.
Democrats tried to make Chairman Schiff into a de facto special prosecutor. He denied President Trump the same sorts of procedural rights that houses of both parties had provided to past presidents of both parties. President Trump's counsel could not participate in Chairman Schiff's hearings, present evidence, or cross-examine witnesses. The House Judiciary Committee's crack at this was even more ahistorical. It was like the Speaker called up Chairman Nadler and ordered one impeachment. Rush delivered, please. The committee found no facts on its own, did nothing to verify the Schiff report. Their only witnesses were liberal law professors and congressional staffers. So, Mr. President, there's a reason the impeachment inquiry that led to President Nixon's resignation required about 14 months of hearings, 14 months, in addition to a special prosecutor's investigation. With President Clinton, the independent counsel's inquiry had been underway literally for years before the House Judiciary Committee actually dug in. Mountains of evidence, mountains of testimony from firsthand fact witnesses, serious legal battles to get what was necessary. This time around, House Democrats skipped all of that, spent just 12 weeks. 12 weeks. More than a year of hearings for Nixon, multiple years of investigation for Clinton, and they've impeached President Trump in 12 weeks. The failure was made clear to everyone earlier this week when Senator Schumer began searching for ways the Senate could step out of our proper role and try to fix the House Democrats' failures for them. And it was made even more clear last night when Speaker Pelosi suggested that House Democrats may be too afraid to even transmit their shoddy work product to the Senate. Mr. President, it looks like the prosecutors are getting cold feet in front of the entire country and second-guessing whether they even want to go to trial. They said impeachment was so urgent that it could not even wait for due process, but now they're content to sit on their hands. This is really comical. Democrats' own actions concede that their allegations are unproven. The articles aren't just unproven, they're also constitutionally incoherent.
Now, what is it that has driven this? It is that Trump derangement syndrome. We'll not survive. President Trump is being our Trump. This is not only Democrats. This is never-Trumpers that call themselves Republicans. Yeah, you know what they are. They're Democrats dressed in Republican drag. And, you know, it's the Matt Drudges, it's the Bill Cristols, it's this hogwash of these never-Trumpers. You know, that democracy is going to implode. Donald Trump has proven to be the single fiercest defender of our constitutional republic. And Mitch, I'm proud of you. You reminded everybody of that. And you reminded people that he's in the same vein as a John F. Kennedy and a Ronald Reagan, presidents who came into office who really upset the establishment on both sides of the aisle. And then you really just laid the case out again. Democrats, you failed to make the case in the House. It is not the Senate's job. Sorry, Chuck E. Cheese Schumer. It's not the Senate's job to now retry the case in the hopes of stumbling on more evidence, maybe kind of, sort of, No. The Senate's job is to take what you've done and judge it. Thumbs up or thumbs down. And you know where the judgment is. Keep an eye on scumbags like Mitt Romney, though. Well, Mitch McConnell summed it all up by saying, you have broken this constitutional process. We, the Senate, will fix it.
It is long past time for Washington to get a little perspective. President Trump is not the first president with a populist streak, not the first to make entrenched elites uncomfortable. He's certainly not the first president to speak bluntly, to mistrust the administrative state, or to rankle unelected bureaucrats. And heaven knows he's not the first president to assert the constitutional privileges of his office rather than roll over when Congress demands unlimited, sensitive information. None of these things, none of them, is unprecedented. Well, The moment the framers feared has arrived. A political faction in the lower chamber have succumbed to partisan rage. A political faction in the House of Representatives has succumbed to a partisan rage. They have fulfilled Hamilton's philosophy that impeachment will, quote, connect itself with the pre-existing factions, enlist all their animosities, and there will always be the greatest danger that the decision will be regulated more by the comparative strength of parties than by the real demonstrations of innocence or guilt. Alexander Hamilton. That's what happened in the House last night. The vote did not reflect what had been proven. It only reflects how they feel about the president. The Senate must put this right. We must rise to the occasion. There's only one outcome that is suited to the paucity of evidence, the failed inquiry, the slapdash case. Only one outcome suited to the fact that the accusations themselves are constitutionally incoherent. Constitutionally incoherent. Only one outcome will preserve core precedents rather than smash them into bits in a fit of partisan rage because one party still cannot accept the American people's choice in 2016. It could not be clearer which outcome would serve the stabilizing, institution-preserving, fever-breaking role for which the United States Senate was created, and which outcome would betray it. The Senate's duty is clear. The Senate's duty is clear. When the time comes, we must fulfill it.
And because Mitch McConnell will make good on that promise, it's exactly why Nancy Botox Pelosi will not allow these articles of impeachment to make their way to the Senate. That said, as we were gearing up for this historic event, no, it's an hysterical event, created by the media. You know, Robert De Niro, that failed has-been drooling on himself, shadow of an actor, over on The View, talking about President Trump has not brought the country together. How can he? How can he? You know, Nancy Pelosi again standing up there saying, oh, we have to pray for the president. Nancy, again, as a pastor, let me lay a little theology on you. Prayers from the people in hell go unheard and unanswered in heaven. Let me translate that for you because it probably went over your head. Stop praying. You're just wasting your time, your breath, and your prayers aren't going any higher than the ceiling if you're praying them at all. You are an evil, vile person, and for you to stand there and talk about that you are a good Catholic while you protect all kinds of perversion that goes against your so-called faith, and the fact that you have provided legal cover for decades for murderers known as abortionists. No, you don't get to claim you're a good Christian, good Catholic. No, nay, sorry. But the real divisiveness comes always from the left. And yesterday, as they were getting ready to gear up for the vote on this, it was Representative Louis Gohmert, in his own unique, unabashed, unflinching style, who made the case.
In 1998, Senator Schumer said, and I quote, that this impeachment will be used as a routine tool to fight political battles. We thought it was a prediction. It was a promise, and now it's playing out. It's exactly what's being done here. And for those that say we don't address the defenses of fact, here you go. The impeachment serves two purposes. Number one, stop the investigation by the U.S. Department of Justice and Ukraine into the corruption of Ukraine interference into the U.S. Election in 2016. You said this was about, this terrible Russia collusion. Then that fell through. It's about emoluments. It's about bribery. It's about extortion. It's changed, but one thing hasn't changed, and that is the intent to impeach this president. It's always been there. But let's be honest. The president turning his back on Ukraine, that happened in 2009, because in 2008, Ukraine invaded Georgia. What happened? Bush put sanctions on Russia to teach them a lesson. What happened after that? Well, in March of 2009, Hillary Clinton was sent over to Russia with a reset button to say, Bush overreacted. We're okay that you invaded Georgia. It was a green light to Russia to invade Ukraine. And what do? Oh, yeah, you send blankets and MREs they can eat and be warm while the Russians are killing them. That is what the Obama administration did. This is a travesty, and we're in big trouble because Schumer was right. Now it's lowered even farther, the bar. It will be used for political battles, and this country's end is now inside. I hope I don't live to see it.
So what do you do when you're a Democrat and you have been slapped in the face with the truth? Well, you go to your fallback position. Russia, Russia, Russia.
I am deeply concerned that any member of the House would spout Russian propaganda on the floor of the House. I now yield 1 minute to the gentleman from New York, Mr. Higgins.
The gentleman from New York is recognized for... The House will come to order. The gentleman from New York is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you.
The House will come to order. The House will come to order. The gentleman from New York.
Well, despite the fact Gomer got shouted down by the chair, good for him. Good for America. That was, of the entire fiasco of yesterday, that was good for democracy. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. Hey, our channel over at bittubers.com. Shh, I'm not supposed to say that too loud. Our channel over at bittubers.com, it's growing. You need to come on over. It's a fun place to be. It is free speech on steroids. That's bittubers.com. And again, thank you for watching us here on YouTube. We're doing what we can to keep freedom of speech alive and well right here. Give us a thumbs up, give us a like, spread this video, subscribe to the channel, and smack the bell for notification of my next rant.